On this episode of ResiWeek, DirecTV says they're going to start broadcasting Major League Baseball in 4K. How do you turn scope creep to work for you? Plus, we look at the world of smart locks. All that and more next on ResiWeek.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is ResiWeek, episode 11, recorded Monday, April 18th, 2016. Counseling your clients. ResiWeek is brought to you by our fine group of underwriters, companies like DisplayNote. This is ResiWeek, the weekly look at the home automation AV everything for the residential market for AV. My name is Tom Albright. I am your host. With us this week is Mr. Matt D. Scott from Omega Audio Video. Oh yeah, he also happens to be our graphics and marketing and everything pretty at AVNation. So how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. That's a very pregnant pause. Also with us is Todd Anthony Puma from The Source. How are you, sir?
Doing well, Tim. Thank you.
Good. Very good. All right, guys, real quickly, let's get this show on the road, see if I can bring up the right article here. So DirecTV did something interesting last 2 weeks ago. They broadcast the Masters in 4K. Now, depending on who you read and depending on who you listen to, everybody from John Siaka to Julie Jacobson, it was either a great success or a horrible failure, depending. I think Siaka said something to the effect it was not quite 720 or something snarky like that. But it was an attempt, right? It was an attempt to get content in 4K. It was an attempt to get live sports in 4K. Not a bad idea. Todd, for your part, the story is, let's see if I can actually do my job today. The story is DirecTV is now going to broadcast Major League Baseball games in 4K. One qualifier to that, it's actually 4K ultra high definition. So if you're a purist, it's not quite quote unquote 4K, but it's ultra HD. Todd, what does this mean for the future of 4K in the home? What does this mean for getting, in I guess the race for getting live content into the home, whether it's DirecTV, your local cable provider, or Dish?
I look at this as an opportunity for upsales. Going into the customer's home, offering the customer added equipment, changeovers in their equipment, room boxes, wiring, new 2.2 AV receivers, televisions in multiple rooms. With events like this, MLB games, Masters in 4K, it brings customers awareness. It lets them understand that 4K is now something viable, something that is becoming a standard, something that's a staple. And at this point, they're going to look on investing their dollars into newer equipment, and they're going to come to guys like Matt and myself to find out what they need in order to have this happen. What equipment they'll need in order to make 4K possible in their home besides for the TVs. I think it's a great opportunity. I think 4K is starting to become a little bit more serious than it was last year. We know it's more serious than 3D is, especially it's a resolution type. And I'm looking forward to seeing more programming and 4K content coming in the future. All
right. Mr. Scott, our buddy Stephen Bronner from Georgia, has told us on a couple of occasions that he tries to future-proof as much as possible. He doesn't have the conversation about whether or not 4K is viable. This is what he specs for the homes that he does. Is that is that where integrators for the homes need to be right now? Where I'm not even going to have the conversation about 1080 at all. You're doing 4K on some level. You might want to do, maybe up to as low as 2,000 lines, but you're talking either UHD TV or you're talking 4K.
Yeah, I think it is that time, and I think when we're to the point where we realize that it's less about the actual 4K content per se, and less about the 4K buzzword, and it's about providing the best product available to your customer and the best product that they can afford. And taking out, from any of our suppliers that top chunk of your price list or your product list just because it's 4K doesn't mean that that product isn't the right product to sell them today. Knowing that, hey, we do finally have 4K available in a set-top box. We do have it on, some of the Android players, and we definitely have it available on the internet. So to not go ahead and, just as Todd said, sell them something that helps them move forward. Sell them something that isn't going to be outdated, because give it, 3 years from now, 2 years from now even, you're not going to buy a non-4K device.
Okay,
unless
explain
you're
that.
shopping.
No, hey, explain that though.
Well,
Because they still
think
don't have
about
it. They still don't have a viable physical media player, right?
right.
4K?
But is it going
4K,
to,
yeah, sorry.
is it going to be a physical media device? I don't think so.
You've got to have an
No.
interim here.
I
Because
don't think
people-
so either. I'm
I
agree with
agree. I agree. I want a medium. I still love my Blu-ray player.
I
still
don't
watch
want one. I'm
Blu-rays.
saying that the average consumer would want one. No, I want
don't
to get
think
rid of
so.
all my
They wanna
DVDs
stream it.
because
They don't.
my here we go. I want to get rid of all my DVDs because my 8 and 10-year-olds still treat them like frisbees. Right? I can't
That's
tell
what they
you
are,
how
aren't they?
many versions of freaking Toy Story I've purchased over the last 8 years. It's ridiculous. I should own stock in Disney at this point. But that's why I love stuff like the Roku and the Xbox One, because I don't purchase games anymore. I don't purchase physical media if I can get away with it.
Right.
Exactly, and that's where 4K is going to make its bones in availability to online content. I can film 4K on my iPhone, and I can stream that to a 4K device. That works just fine. What we're going to see, and again, it's the fact that how long did it take for 720p devices, or not devices, but displays
Content, displays.
outside of commercial? How long did it take for those 720 only TVs to only be available at Costco and Sam's Club and Walmart and Target? They weren't available at Best Buy. They weren't available at and if they were, it was overstocked and trying to get rid of months and sometimes years. That's what we're going to see down the road. So when you look at most of my clients, they will, residential clients that is, they'll purchase a display, keep it for anywhere from 4 to 7 years. That's kind of our current turnover. And we've been in this for 15 years, 16 years now. So we can, we have the data to back that up. So you look at that, and if they're going to buy a display today, why would I not sell them something that's 4K capable today? Knowing that they're, our local big teleco, Rogers, has been promoting 4K for Blue Jays baseball all winter long, waiting for it. The boxes are available, you can get it. Why would I not sell them something that in 2 years, you're not going to go buy your 10 or get your 1080p DVR from your cable co or your satellite provider? You're going to get a 4K box. Why wouldn't I sell them something today that they can use down the road?
Yeah.
Because if they want the latest and greatest and top of the line market product, they're going to buy that in 2 years anyways. Those are those few clients that constantly want to upgrade. Your average consumer, and again, I mean our average consumer, guys that are coming to integrators, there's still that percentage of clients that want to upgrade every device every year or every 2 years is still fairly small. Our average, and I'm sure Todd's company is the same, our average users, they don't want us in their house nonstop, replacing pieces every year. But they do like seeing us every 2 to 3 years. They want us in there to replace those products. So why wouldn't we sell a 4K device? Yeah, did it look fantastic on the Masters? Not really. I haven't seen it in baseball. I've seen the promos. I've seen it in a telco store running 4K. Does it look fantastic? No. Is it as good as the demos we see on the show floors? No.
Is it better
is
than?
it cool?
Here's
Yeah.
the thing, though. Is it one
Are
quick
people going to
question.
buy it?
Is it
Yeah.
better than 1080? Even the promos and the stuff like that? Is that even better than 1080?
It
I've
is.
seen promos that are better than 1080.
Okay,
Sorry, go ahead, Todd.
go ahead, Todd.
It's going to come down to, yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
It's going to be something where it's a different picture type, especially once you add HDR into it. It looks different. Does that mean it's better? I don't know. The ones I've seen demos of 4K that are dramatically better than 1080p. I haven't seen a broadcast demo that looks better than 1080p. Now, is that because I can't perceive the difference in pixel depth or pixel count? Because I can, but am I not seeing it side by side? I don't know. More importantly, is it the HDR effect that's different? And I can't, I'm not yet to that point where I can see that HDR difference, which looks so dramatically different than a traditional 1080p, and say, oh wow, that looks great. But keep in mind, most of our customers, if they see a display in Costco or Best Buy or wherever they're seeing displays that aren't our shops, they're watching it on Vivid. And when we come in and calibrate the display, they go, why is it so dark? I want it on Vivid. I want it to flare my eyeballs
Right.
out.
Or as soon as you walk out the door, they just flip it to Vivid.
Pretty
Oh
much.
yeah, all the time. Oh yeah. We've had countless clients where we will literally leave for a weekend during an installation, having calibrated their theater room or their big 80-inch display, come back the next Monday morning and go, why does it look like crap? Oh, you know what? It was really dark. My son found the real remote and flipped it to Vivid. It's awesome. I love it. Like, okay, sure. Whatever.
Whatever you like. All right.
Now,
Yes.
I was just say, I'm ready to buy a 4K display for my house, knowing I'll have minimal content. But I'm okay with it because for the couple of things I can run at 4K, I'm all down with it.
Yeah.
My wife, unfortunately, thinks that having a baby is more important than me having another TV.
It's not. And if you'd like a letter of reference to that effect, I will gladly get Todd to write you one.
You'll
All
send
right.
me one?
No,
Oh,
that's
thank you.
what
Why?
I
Because
said.
I'm from New York.
I'm
What
not
do you
going to
think
take
New York
your
is?
wife off. Are you kidding me? She'll kick my butt. All right. Next up, Mr. Puma here has written a piece for Residential Systems called Turning Scope Creep into an Advantage. I read this with some interest and a little bit chuckling knowingly as he's going through the pains and the angst of getting scope creep. Todd, what were you? And I shouldn't say what were you thinking, but walk us through this. How exactly can we do what exactly you're talking about, which is taking the wonderful add-ons that happen in a number of projects. I'm not going to say every project, but in a number of projects where you're halfway through or you're three-fourths of the way through, and suddenly they see the next 4K display. I'm like, holy cow, I want that instead of what you expect.
That's really not the issue that I was kind of speaking about in this. It was more of during the construction phases that when we're in the process and they want to add another room, say another additional speakers, a pair of speakers, and since you're already there, I thought it was included. Customers will think just because you're on site and they're paying for the day that it's included. No matter what you do there, it's all right. You're there. I'm not going to pay for the additional time. You're running 4 wires to the room. You're passing by that room. Why can't you just add another 2 lines to this room? It's free, right? That wire you're running doesn't cost anything. Your labor, there's no value because you're worth nothing.
Oh wow!
Because that's the way they treat it. Is you have to go through conversations with the clients and the customers we deal with in New York. They're a little rougher than most clientele. They're a little more forward, and they're used to treating their contractors like the hired help. They don't see us as equals. They don't see us even as advisors because they have all the information. They know about this. They've been through the process before. They've been moving and
Use the
flipping
internet.
homes. Yeah, they use the internet. Nothing on the internet is wrong. Let me tell you that right now. I just want to make that
Jeez.
clear. There has never been any information on the internet that has been wrong. None. I don't think I ever read anything wrong.
God help
So-
us, because you guys have a primary
now that-
coming up.
Now that that's being said, but what you have to try to avoid, and this is what I'm learning to do through the process of trial, and I don't even know what to call it at this point, but just by experience, is to put everything on the table. If the customer needs a change, stop the process, call the customer, go through the process with the customer, go through what you offered already, go through the scope of work, and make sure that the prior scope of work was very clear on the amount of rooms you're doing. And here's just one bit of advice as well. If a job needs to be done a few days after the consult, don't take the job if you haven't been able to explain to the customer, if you haven't been able to go through your process. If anything is broken from what you normally do, and you know the job is a little more detailed than just hanging a TV and putting a couple of speakers in, that you need to go through with the customer and go through the scope of work. Just don't take the job. Take control. Don't let the customer ever take control of the project, because the first step of a loss is when the customer is in charge. Yes, their opinion matters, but we are the professionals. We are their advisors. We're here to let them know what we have experienced before, what works and what doesn't work, even though they want to know and what they think they know. We're here, and I say it every day, is my line to them is we're here to educate, not negotiate. And that's what they're always on. They're ready to negotiate through the process. There's a lot of steps through the process that we can offer to them as a courtesy. I don't know what those steps are because I can't think of it right now, but there are steps that we offer to them as a courtesy. But running wire and deviating from the original scope of work is only going to stop us from getting the original scope of work done. And then they look at us like we didn't fulfill our end of the agreement.
Bingo.
There's a lot.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And that's the thing is any sort of scope creep. That's the danger, right? Is they think it's one simple thing, and suddenly, maybe they're upgrading. You mentioned wire. Let's say they're changing from a 75-inch to an 80-inch. Well, first of all, maybe the power plug is in a different place. So you have to have power differently. It's going to be heavier, so you have to have different backing. It might take a totally completely different mount, and so you have to buy a new mount. In which case, you've got to take the one that you already purchased and restock it, and there's charges with that. So yeah, I mean it's a lot simpler just to explain that.
Programming speaking, Rich and I are working on this project together, and anything I do or anything I add, there's a cause and effect, especially for Rich. All right, I'll add this room. I haven't communicated with Rich. How do I know what the costs are going to be? How do I know how much time is going to be invested into this? Just because, again, the customer's doing to me, then I should be doing it to Rich. Oh, Rich, we just added a room. That's going to take no time at all, right? I don't know that. I don't know what it takes.
I think there's something to be said for when we start to, as integrators and professionals, but when we start to treat our industry and our job as professionals, we're not just speaker guys anymore.
Yeah.
We're not just general labor that can come in and pull wire. There's a reason you pay us to pull wire and you don't pay your electrician or your GC. There's a reason that we're on site. And whenever we can properly educate the customer or the client, that we're professionals. We don't come into their place of work and tell them how to do their job and expect them to, we have quite a few dentists and doctors that we do work for. And I continually have to explain to them, I don't come down, sit in your dental chair and ask you to do one filling and then halfway through say, oh, you know what? Can you do 3 more? Like I'm already here. There's no extra time. You'll be fine. So, I'll pay the $300 for the one filling, and I won't pay for the other 2 because I'm already here. Why? It's not a big deal. As soon as we do that and let them treat us not as professionals, let them treat us as general labor, then we've become general labor. I know we got into a practice not too long into doing residential where anything extra, anything outside of the scope had to be signed off on. We maybe didn't quote it, but all of our guys have either an iPhone or an iPad with a generic pages document that they can pull up and write in, extra audio to this room, sign here, date here. As soon as they do it, we'll email you a copy. The office gets a copy. We may not price it, but if they're not willing to sign off saying that they want that additional thing done, you're never going to bill for it. Yep. You're never going to get that snuck in underneath without some sort of fight over why. And I think one of the biggest things that you wrote in your article, Todd, that I loved was talking about the iPhone and trying to load an app. Our guys get that all the time, and that's such a big issue of, oh, can you just help me move this in my garage? Or, you're here, can you just adjust this TV for me? What happens if you guys didn't do that? You guys didn't work on that, and there's a problem. We've, for the most part, been able to train our guys that it is a liability issue. We're not helping you with something because we don't want to help you, but you have to go through the office for that. We can't help you move whatever, move the couch. We can't touch it because as soon as we touch it and there's a scrape on the floor, then my guys I'm paying because my guys scraped your hardwood floor. We can't touch it. We're not movers. We are electronics experts. This is what we do. We are a professional, company. We are professional people. We can't just help you out. We're not your buddy. We have a client professional relationship. We have to keep it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the analogy of the dentist. Can you just do this one over here?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Just do this one.
Yes.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine. All right, real quickly as we wrap up here, I love what CNET is doing. CNET actually purchased CNET.com, if you're not familiar with them. They purchased a house. They're based out of San Francisco. I have no idea how much the freaking thing cost. But they're turning it into a smart home, and they're writing different articles about it. One of the latest ones that they did was the Smart Lock Buying Guide. So I figured, what the heck, we'll get you guys on here and start talking about this. Mr. Scott, when you start talking about the Internet of Things and smart devices, what are some of the things that you
Yes.
Oh, jeez, be quiet. What are some of the things that you start when you have a checklist for your clients? You're like, okay, you want to do this, this, and this. At what point do you say you're starting to look at an IoT or a smart device?
Never.
That's a hard one because IoT is one of those fun things that obviously has taken off in the last couple of years, and it's big news and big business, and everybody's excited about it. And very few people realize that it doesn't really work the way it's sold yet. It has, this whole Jetsons option of being that flexible and that integrated that it'll do everything. But off the shelf, none of these things do that. Yeah. And, we're getting more and more IoT questions. And yeah, CNET's been great because they're really walking through a lot of stuff. And we've got clients that have read some of their blogs on it. When we get asked about it, we pretty much preface it with a question back to the client of, what do you want it to do? Do you want your smart lock to unlock with your app? And that's the end of it? Because if that's all you want, then that's fine. But if you want some form of integrated service, you want to come home, push a button, have your door unlock, your lights turn on, and the temperature come down, then that's a whole other conversation. And we really need to investigate this. You can't just go to Home Depot and buy a lock, because you'll be going to Home Depot and returning said lock and hopefully maybe possibly getting your money back. But more than not, it's going to go on your pool shed, because it's not likely, a lot of times, going to work with our systems. And more importantly, the time it takes for us, Todd mentioned this earlier in the scope creep conversation, the time it takes us to integrate that kind of crappy lock you bought at Home Depot into this bigger system, that $200 lock just became a $600 installed solution. Whereas we could have got a lock that works with the, whether it's like the big one we see is somebody gets Z-Wave and we need Zigbee in the house, or vice versa, or whatever.
And they don't
and
have
it becomes, okay, so now we need this part. Yeah, we need this part, and this part to make that all work. And again, this is the same issue that we had with Sonos when Sonos first started. It didn't integrate with anything. People thought it would work with everything, and it didn't. It worked with one piece in its own system, and it worked very well at that, but that's all it did. This is that same thing as we go through IoT, where it's going to take us as professionals to explain to clients how most of this stuff works, because the marketing that they're getting, even from guys like CNET, isn't going to do it. We're really starting to hit that point where probably the biggest thing that you need to look at as you're hiring people is how well they're able to educate a client, how well they can articulate the knowledge that we have to those clients. Because as Todd, well knows, we're like, he and I aren't on site every day. We're not in front of those customers every day. A lot of times we're there when we sell it and monitoring that project, but we're not there when the client walks in and says, hey, check out this new box I got. Isn't it awesome? Can you guys put it in? And two, we can just integrate this. That'll be fine.
Sure.
We need to make sure that all of our staff members are aware of A, how this stuff works, and B, how to ensure that our clients understand what we can do with those purchases that either they want or better, have these conversations, head these off at the pass.
All right, Todd, same
which
kind
I
of
think
question.
is almost more important.
How do you go ahead?
I think what the most important thing is the demo to the client, a system that works as a whole home system, has a better ecosystem that communicates with itself, and then immediately to shut out the other, oh, look, I heard about this great product. Okay, so then you have to go through the story, just like you're a counselor. So what did you hear about this product? Oh, what did you like about this product? Have you used this product before? You have used this product before. Hold on, we're getting there. And it's true. It's you have to take care of your clients, but it gets to be repetitive and it makes you crazy after a point. And there's so much information out there. CNET is selling like the Apple mentality. I work with me. That's it. I'm working with myself. These brands don't care about integrating with others. And after a while, once they become a little more stable, like Nest and Google, they'll start communicating with other companies. Amazon Echo is doing a great job in building affiliates and, having other people work with them. And you know what? I hope more companies become like that. But every single brand that's coming out there that does garage door openers, lights, locks, anything you could control, your kid's temperaments, I don't know, vitamin intake, it's going to be out there, and the customer's going to want it. And the customer's going to want it. And it's okay to ask questions. But I have learned the one word that I like to use a lot, and I use it with my kids all the time. It's the word no. And it just shut down the process. And why? If they ask that question, why? Because it's not good for you. You don't want it.
Oh, jeez.
That's it. You got to scold them.
That's why you can't have jelly beans for dinner.
Oh, man.
Oh,
it's just communication is everything. Talking to a customer, and they are excited. The customers through the process get very excited. They look for more, and they look to be involved in the process, and that's okay. I like that excitement, but we have to redirect them and push them into what we're there for, is building a control system for now and for the future, something that's easily integrated, that you don't have multiple apps, just like when you had multiple remotes in front of your TV for VCR, DVD player, and all those old things that I can't remember the names were.
Laserdiscs, Betamax.
Turntables.
Before your time. I know.
Ooh, Betamax.
Yeah. Chris Netto.
But that's the biggest thing, is that so many of these devices have become essentially remotes unto themselves.
Yes.
Right? It's become that you finally stepped up. You've got a customer, you got an TI. You got a device that can control all of the in one piece, and you did fantastic at that. But we're back to square one with all these IoT devices where your iPhone is just holding all these different apps that are working like remotes for those clients. It's, oh shoot, where did I put that? I know I had that app for my lock. Where did I put that? I can't find it. And you get back to that point where, again, we're promised this smart home dream from all of these manufacturers, and they've been very short-sighted on the fact that for it to actually be a smart home means it has to work with something else. And since so many of these things don't directly, easily work with something else for the client, it's just not going to function. We had a client a couple of weeks ago, and we were doing work in his house. It was a full RTI system. We were getting it all up and running, and he started asking questions about Caseta, which is a product that we sell a lot of. And I was able to explain, what we had, the price point, how we could deploy it in his house. It's like, oh yeah, my buddy got one, and he got a controller, and he got this, and he got that, and he bought a bunch of stuff at Home Depot. I'm like, oh, that's fantastic. How's it working out? Well, he can't really control it all. It's sort of, kind of, sort of, a little bit. And we had that conversation, and we were back on site a couple of weeks later, and I'm like, hey, how's your buddy's system working out? Because he was going to check it out and wanted to put some of that into his house. And he's like, oh, did you not hear about Wink? I'm like, oh, that Wink went bankrupt again? He's like, yeah, that was like, I was blown away.
Oh man,
he didn't catch the again part of that, did he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not at all. And again, it's that whole stigma of, yes, there's a lot of little things out there that do this, but for the same reason you don't buy a new car at $2,000 that it costs money to buy a real car. It costs money to buy a real control system.
Now, hang on. The Yugo was a great car. It was
not. It was not a great car. I know my Eastern European history. It was not a great car.
It was a fabulous car. It was 4 doors, 2 doors for under $2,000. All right, guys. We're going to let you guys go. Mr. Todd Anthony Puma, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Tim.
How do people find you?
You can find me at somewhere on Twitter at Todd Anthony Puma for Twitter. That's
also on Residential Systems as well. At Residential Systems.
Oh, residentialsystems.com, and also at thesourcehometheater.com.
There you go. I'm trying to help you out here, but I know it's Monday.
Thanks, man. I forgot where I work.
Also, Mr. Scott, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
How do people find you and Omega?
You can find me online pretty much anywhere under Matt D. Scott. OmegaAudioVideo.com works as well, and then I'm always around at SCN and some of the New Bay properties, and of course our very own AVNation.tv.
Yay!
Right on.
Yeah, absolutely. That was very nice.
No one tell Shraga.
If you like the website, it's Matt's fault. If you don't, it's my fault. So it's kind of how that relationship works. So
yeah. Did we take your keys away yet?
No, you still haven't. Even though I deleted the site for 12 hours. So my name is Tim Albright.
We're going to take your keys away.
I know. Don't follow me. Go by the website if you would, please. AVNation.tv. AVNation.tv. You can see Mr. Scott's fine handiwork when it comes to building websites. You'll also find a whole lot of programs like this one. Our weekly version of ResiWeek is called AV Week. We cover the commercial end of AV. That happens every Friday. Typically posts on Monday. We also have a bunch of monthlies, such as State of Control, where we look at control and automation. We have one on education, lighting, social media, and marketing, all sorts of stuff. So AVNation.tv, AVNation.tv. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for watching. This has been ResiWeek.